Get ready, the coldest air of the season arriving later this week.
Judge temporarily blocks Wisconsin's indoor capacity limit. A hearing now set for Monday.
Tonight, Devil's Lake State Park is closed. One person is dead. NBC15 is live at the park's entrance with the latest.
Live from the WMTV studios, your news authority. NBC15 News at 5 starts now.
Well, there are still a lot of questions tonight after a person was found dead at Devil's Lake State Park. It was first reported around 11:30 this morning. Investigative reporter Elise Romas has been tracking this story. Elise, what do we know so far?
Well, right now, John, we know that the park is closed to visitors. This is just one of the several entrances that has been blocked off by law enforcement in the area. This afternoon, I saw many rumors on Facebook and Twitter about this incident. This is what I've confirmed with law enforcement so far. Sauk County Dispatch tells me someone found the victim on train tracks near the south shore of the park. That victim was bloody and later died. I also saw a helicopter flying around the area, but a DNR spokesperson was not able to confirm if that helicopter was related to a search for a suspect. I did speak with one hiker who says he was stopped and searched by police while out on the trail.
He asked me if I would open my jacket, so I opened my jacket. He asked me if I had any guns. He wanted me to pull out anything I had. Then he went flying back down the path even farther.
We're asking visitors to not come to the property, and it's an ongoing scene that we continue to manage.
Now, over the last hour, I have tried to contact the DNR again to find out more details relating to what actually happened to this victim, how they were injured, and if there is a suspect that authorities are searching for. I am still waiting for a call back. Live in Baraboo, Elise Romas, NBC15 News.
Brown County health officials say they're speaking with legal counsel after a Western Wisconsin judge temporarily blocked the governor's order that limited capacity of indoor gatherings. That order limited indoor capacity at bars and restaurants to 25%. In its lawsuit, the Tavern League says the order could force businesses to close, arguing the order was illegal because the Department of Health Services did not follow the rulemaking procedures. Today's injunction by a Sawyer County judge blocks the order until a formal hearing is held on Monday. It does not affect any local orders. Places like Brown County now looking at its options.
Everyone was kind of anticipating that there will probably be some type of action that would take place. At this point in time, it's with our corp counsel to, we're waiting for them to give us advice. This just happened.
Dane County bars and restaurants still need to follow the county health department rules limiting the number of people allowed in public spaces. County Executive Joe Parisi issued the reminder this morning. Public Health Madison and Dane County had already opted out of the state's emergency order in favor of its own regulations as they are more stringent.
Today, the alternate care facility at Wisconsin State Fair Park opened to accept coronavirus patients. As of this afternoon, DHS says there are no patients in the facility. Well, yesterday, Governor Evers said patients at the ACF will be admitted in coordination with healthcare providers. There are no walk-ins accepted. The CEO of the ACF site said they're in close communication with hospitals across the state to determine how many patients may be using the site in the coming days.
As hospitals discern what their bed capacity forecast can be, as well as what their staffing resources are. So I cannot give you a number because we're still having those conversations and hospitals are still making those decisions.
The ACF will cater to COVID-19 patients described as low acuity. That means they're in the last few days of normal hospitalization. They're on the mend. 28 new COVID-19 deaths were reported in the state today, according to DHS. It's the second highest single-day death count since the pandemic began. Additionally, Iowa County health officials reported the first county resident in Iowa County who has died from the virus. More than 3,100 new cases were reported statewide. That drove the 7-day percent positive above 20% for the first time in our state's history.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expressing concern about the weather growing cooler. The CDC director is telling state governors that small family gatherings are contributing to the spread of the virus. Wisconsin is one of 36 states seeing an increase in new coronavirus cases over the last 7 days. It recorded its highest case count on Tuesday at more than 3,200. And it's one of at least 13 with a daily positive rate above 10% over the past week. According to Dr. Anthony Fauci, that's a massive red flag.
Test positivity, which is often and in fact invariably highly predictive of a resurgence of cases, which historically we know leads to an increase in hospitalizations and then ultimately an increase in deaths.
The CDC director is saying with Thanksgiving coming up, state leadership needs to remind people to keep up efforts to prevent the spread of the virus, but to expect the situation to get worse as winter approaches.
Meteorologist Brian Dukes joins us now, and quite a cool down later this week. Already starting to feel it a little bit with that wind out there. My goodness.
Yeah, no question about it, John. Looks like that huge temperature drop still slated to move in tomorrow. So it's basically on our doorstep, and you will notice a dramatic change as we move through the second half of the week. We're talking highs into the 40s and 50s, overnight lows that will dip down into the 20s and 30s. So Thursday night and Friday night, frost and freeze potential looking more and more likely. Maybe briefly warmer this weekend before another chance of those frost and freezing conditions as we head into early next week. So it's that time of year. You need to kind of finish up that fall work in the days ahead. Bring the potted flowers and plants in. Disconnect those water hoses from the faucets and do blow out those sprinkler lines if at all possible. We'll talk more on this cold air and precipitation that may accompany it, all coming up in a bit.
Improving policing. Newly appointed nominees to Madison's Civilian Oversight Board recently called for more de-escalation and mental health training for police. NBC15 Sonica Bargo got a closer look at the programs already in place at the Madison Police Department.
MPD's Academy Sergeant told me MPD recruits go through about 900 hours of training before becoming a police officer. Over 100 of those hours involve de-escalation and mental health training. Trainers emphasize that de-escalation is always the goal. In other words, avoiding the use of physical force if possible. All officers are also trained in responding to a call involving someone having a mental health crisis. MPD also has a full-time mental health unit. The officers in that unit partner with Journey mental health workers.
The mental health officers have the ability, they have a more flexible schedule to be able to do the outreach, do the check-ins.
It's in a team format so that minimal force is used on a subject and it doesn't injure them, it doesn't injure our officers as frequently.
The Police Academy is not the only training officers receive. MPD officers are required to go through at least 24 hours of training every year. In Madison, Sonica Bargo, NBC15 News.
Coming up on NBC15 News at 5, day 2 of questioning for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. How this sets the stage for a final vote in just 2 weeks.
There won't be a presidential debate tomorrow night, but each candidate will make their voices heard in 2 separate town hall events.